Ayurveda is the most profound gift for holistic healing bestowed upon humanity by the great Vedic tradition of India. As you know, Ayurveda means science of life, based on a famous aphorism, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. As is the atom, so is the universe. As is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. As is the human mind, so is the cosmic mind. As is the atom, so is the universe. This deep understanding of reality shows that mind and body, brain and biological organism, and the universe are a unified activity in consciousness. The goal of Ayurveda is not only healing, physical and biological healing, but true healing, which is moksha or liberation, going beyond all the gunas and understanding that the self of the individual is the self of the universe. Only the ultimate truth, Aham Brahmasmi.
Ayurveda isn't affiliated with any religion by any means. But the more you understand about Ayurveda, the more you get into it, the more you see that it really is a spiritual path as well. Because the whole premise behind Ayurveda is to understand who you are. And isn't that the whole premise behind life? You know, Ayurveda is the science of life. So it's really teaching us who we are, which I think is really beautiful.
There are 96 member states of the World Health Organization now accepting Ayurveda being present in their country or within their jurisdiction in one form or other, either as a medicine or as a practice or as a practitioner being present in their country, etc. There are 16 countries in the world who have regulations for accepting Ayurveda within their health system, and there are 5 countries in the world who are accepting Ayurveda for supporting with insurance. Like this has never happened before, and the numbers are increasing. We are seeing this change between 2012. This change had happened like from almost 0 in case of insurance to 5, or means almost from 1 to 5 in the period of 7 to 8 years, starting from 2012 to 2020. And the number of countries which is getting accepted, or acceptance of Ayurveda, is also increasing. For example, there are several countries who had accepted Ayurveda within their regulatory system after the year 2000. So this is increasing. There are more and more demand. This is all happening because of public demand, and people are asking for it. It is not the governments coming and say, okay, now we will bring Ayurveda for you. It is the people telling their government that we want Ayurveda. People are noticing, people are looking for it, people are asking for it, and there is no holding back. It cannot go back. It has to grow, and it will grow. All the possibilities for the growth of Ayurveda is in the horizon, and I am sure that with the right kind of approach and the right kind of modus operandi, Ayurveda will become a global superpower of medical system.
Ayurveda is future of healthcare. Today's healthcare is focused on medicine, treatment, cure, while Ayurveda talks about promoting health, preventing diseases, and also looking at a person and not only symptoms or diseases. So this is entirely a novel approach which current PPP medicine or preventive, predictive and participatory medicine talks about. Ayurveda also looks at a person from different angle. There is a dosha concept in Ayurveda which is Vat, Pitta, Kapha, and different people may get different approaches for treatment or to regain health. This is a specialty of Ayurveda.
We all understand that harmony between body, mind, soul is very, very important for health and happiness. If we want to explore a little bit deeper, what is the core philosophy of Ayurveda? The word Ayurveda comprises of two words, Ayur and Veda. Veda in Sanskrit means knowledge, and Ayur or Ayu is defined in Charak Samhita, Sharirendriye Sattvatma Sanyog, which means that Ayu is a combination of body, senses, mind and soul. So what we try to understand from here is that Ayurveda is knowledge about body, senses, mind and soul. And this is what a human being consists of. Every human being has a body, they have senses, eyes, nose, tongue, ears and skin. We all have a mind, we all have a soul that keeps this whole system alive, the consciousness part. So the goal of Ayurveda or the core philosophy of Ayurveda is to attain health. The word is swastha, and swastha is nothing but maintaining harmony or balance at physical level, sensual level, psychological level and spiritual level. So therefore we can say that Ayurveda, the main goal of Ayurveda is to help people understand their own physical body, help people to understand how to take care of their senses, how to clean their senses, how to maintain a peace and happiness at the level of the mind, and how to keep the spiritual aspect or the soul part intact, which we can say how to keep the soul contented. So this is what in general we can say is the core philosophy of Ayurveda, and every human being must know this knowledge.
If I were to describe Ayurveda in just 3 words, I would say Ayurveda is about 3 P's: prevention, promotion and personalization. Prevention, I'm talking about primary prevention. Primary prevention means living in a way that disease process does not even get created. That is primary prevention. What we are seeing in the name of prevention these days is secondary prevention, where screening is done to detect diseases at an early stage. But that is not primary prevention. Ayurveda goes one quantum leap beyond that and gives us the tools for primary prevention in the form of daily practices, seasonal routines, age-related transitions, etc. So Ayurveda encompasses all of those tools, guidelines, information, resources that we need to live our life to the utmost potential, most productively, high quality, and most importantly, healthful. I wouldn't even say disease-free, healthful. Healthful is a more positive term. Disease-free is just a neutral term. And Ayurveda also provides this very unique concept of promotion, where one can build on one's baseline of health. If you're born with X amount of health, Ayurveda gives us the knowledge of how to make that X health into X square or X times 4 or something like that. How can you enhance from where you are? And that part is very unique to Ayurveda. Last but not the least, personalization. Ayurveda is the mother of personalized medicine. And therein lies a great secret of the success of Ayurvedic science, that Ayurveda recognizes that no two individuals are alike. And all of the resources that are recommended keeping in mind with the fundamental message that these resources need to be personalized from each individual to each individual, because no two people are alike. So this is also very, very unique to Ayurveda, very profound in Ayurveda, that allows Ayurveda to bring health and wholesomeness to each and every individual based on who they are.
What are the conditions for which people should consider Ayurveda first? Like I mentioned before, should consider Ayurveda mainly for chronic conditions and lifestyle disorders. Diabetes is a classic condition for which you should consider Ayurveda first. High cholesterol and weight loss in some cases. Respiratory conditions like asthma, gastric problems like IBS, arthritis, skin conditions like eczema, migraine and headache, pain, neck pain, back pain, joint pain, and so on, stress and anxiety, and of course for high blood pressure.
Because Ayurveda is the only science that describes the philosophy of life and the science of life, describes the psychology and all the details about disease. But to be charmed in anything, you need a magician. And this is why it has been borrowed. I have never met a man who did not combine philosophy together with total scientific approach to health and disease. And why was I charmed after all these modern concepts of medical career? Because I saw in Ayurveda the future of medicine. I saw genetics. I saw individualized care in an integrated way. This is, I believe, is the future of Ayurveda, putting modern medicine and Ayurveda together. Look at the ancient book of Susruta Samhita. Susruta Samhita described health in an amazing definition with a lot of depth. Susruta Samhita, Sutrasthana, chapter 15th, Shloka 33. It says, Samadosha Samagnischa, Samadatu Malakriyaha, Prasanatmendriya Mana, Svasta Iti Abhidiyate. Everything is there, Samadosha. You have to understand Ayurveda through modern neuroscience. Vata is automaticity. Pitta is metabolic factors. Kapha is homeostasis. Prasanatendriya Mana. This is all the concept of stress described a few thousand years ago.
To me, Ayurveda is the science of life. It's poetry, it's art of living, it's paying attention to nature around us, paying attention to the world around us, and connecting deeply with our own selves.
COVID is not the last virus in our lives. We have to go through so many different viruses in the future. So the best way to protect ourselves is through following a simple techniques in Ayurveda. Just use some of the herbs like ginger, garlic, and turmeric, and different kind of mixes. This will cost you less than $1 sometimes. And this can actually improve your immune system. Like we take shower every day. Why we take shower? We have to take care of our external appearance. Just be virus conscious.
It is very interesting to see the systematic way in which Ayurveda has evolved. The terrestrial history of Ayurveda begins with sage Bharadwaj. He was a great logician. He created 8 medical disciplines ranging from internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, toxicology to rejuvenation medicine. He also had written many books and had many students. Atreya was one of his well-known students. He specialized in internal medicine. What actually stands out about Atreya is that he was a great rationalist. He constantly emphasized a scientific approach to medicine. He stressed the importance of objective scientific discussions and conferences. Atreya was a great teacher and he had a number of students, the most famous one being Agnivesha. Agnivesha did the first time codification and systematic compilation of information. His major treatise is known as Agnivesha Tantra, which is now known by the name Charaka Samhita. Bharadwaja's another very famous student was Dhanvantri. Dhanvantri is regarded as the incarnation of Lord Dhanvantri, who is considered incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Dhanvantri specialized in surgery. He was the king of Kashi and had established a university in Kashi. Sushruta was Dhanvantri's famous student. Sushruta was a great surgeon. The book Sushruta Samhita, written by Sushruta, stands as a testimony to his knowledge on surgery.
If you look at the main teachers of Ayurveda, the main textbooks, the great writings, there are three of them. In fact, there are three great authors who codified the knowledge of Ayurveda and presented it for posterity. These are Charaka, Sushruta and Vagbhara. And if you look at these three personalities, their names are also symbolic and indicate a tradition that is dynamically creating and refining knowledge. For example, the word Charaka means Charaiveti, one who is constantly on the move, exploring and acquiring knowledge, by traveling to different places. Sushruta means one who is well heard, who is a keen listener. So this is again another process of acquiring knowledge. So to reach out, to explore the entire world and to be receptive and a keen listener, that is what these names Charaka and Sushruta indicate. And Vagbhara, the third great writer of the Ayurvedic canonical literature, his name indicates Vachi Bhadatum. Vagbhara means one who is an adept in expressing and presenting the knowledge.
So Ayurveda has seen different phases of changes throughout the history. 5,000 years back, what started as an Ayurvedic practice was more of a Vedic philosophy in practice, where Hinduism and Buddhism was being practiced in the form of their teachings on a daily basis, a life to be lived on a daily basis based on certain cosmic principles. However, we know that India has always been a land of invasions. Greeks came to India, took back some part of India in the form of Ayurveda and formed their own internal medicine, which later came to be known as Unani medicine. Similarly, Buddhist monks introduced Ayurveda in Southeast Asia, which later came to be known as traditional Chinese medicine. Next was the era of Mughals and Britishers. Now, Mughals and Britishers did not directly fit in very well into the Hindu Vedic philosophy, and that was where Ayurveda went through a big shift. The philosophical arms of Ayurveda, or the spiritual and conscious angle of Ayurveda, had to be really cut down. It was separated out or was virtually made to go underground, and the body part or the treatment part of Ayurveda was what left behind during the reign of Mughals and Britishers. Ayurveda did see a very low phase during next 1,000 years till the time Mughals and Britishers ruled India. The revival of Ayurveda then happened somewhere around in 1950s after independence, when the focus was all about reviving India and the ancient practices that India had always been practicing as a part of living.
So Yavando Bhavaha Murtimadam Dege, Tavando Loge, Yavando Loge, Tavando Dege. This is the basic philosophy of Ayurveda, which enables Ayurveda to proclaim that everything in the universe is potentially medicinal. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshana, Arogyam Moolam Uttamo, Yogaha Tasya Abhartara, Shrayaso Jivadasya Cha. So it says that if you are interested to achieve the four expectations of human life, the Dharma, the Artha, the Kama and Moksha, health is the foundation for that.
So when you do the treatment, right, you give some medicine. Whether you use that medicine to ingest or you inject or you apply something, but the medicine is being used. The non-pharmacological approach of the treatment is not to use the medicine at all. So nothing is ingested, injected or applied, and still you get the result. Isn't it fascinating? Well, sometime, and people think, though, is this real? Is this really real? But yes, and there are so many things where we do get this non-pharmacological approach. It's not only Ayurveda's approach, but Ayurveda has definitely started it way back, since 5,000 years again.
So in Ayurveda, the cause of disease is as important as the symptoms, if not important. In conventional medicine, usually the symptoms are masked with the treatments or the medication. Not necessarily the cause of disease is eradicated or looked at. But in Ayurveda, the cause of disease, or nidana, is eradicated with the treatment protocols. So what are some of these causes of disease in Ayurveda? One of them is failure of the intellect, or prajna parada. The other one is misuse of the senses. Time and motion is another one. So we say that even though aging in terms of time is a linear process, that we cannot control the numbers going higher and higher, the biological aging is not a linear process, and we can slow it down. One very important cause of disease is forgetting your true nature as divine, or as a higher source of consciousness, or as your highest nature. So we also know that in quantum physics, the entire universe is a quantum vibrational energy of consciousness. It's a quantum field of consciousness. And so when we look at all the causes of disease in Ayurveda, we do see that many of these causes are at the level of the mind. And illness or disease, many times it starts in the mind. So when we look at the Ayurvedic anatomy and physiology and Ayurveda's sister science of yoga, we look at the body as different layers of vibrational frequencies. As the vibration goes from gross to subtle and subtler, there are many different layers of the body, specifically 5. Physical body, Annamaya Kosha, is connected to the mental body, Manomaya Kosha, through a bridge that is another layer, Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha refers to the pathway of life energy that travels through the breath. So when we utilize the breath and we give guidance as to the breathing or breathing practices, the individual is getting still in the mind as the body finds its connection to the mental body, or Manomaya Kosha. And so we see that the subtle body has all the energy pathways within it. Ida and Pingala are 2 main energy channels that travel and traverse through every chakra. And when you focus on your breath and when you do these pranayama or breathing practices, through the breath traveling through Ida and Pingala and moving through every chakra, the pathways of energy are cleared or cleansed, and so the union between the body and the mind is accomplished, and all the blockages and clarity will be achieved, and blockages will be alleviated. And so therefore, it is important to address the causes of disease at the level of the mind.
I first learned about Ayurveda in about 1995. I had 2 little boys, and they were having all kinds of little kid ailments, as little kids do. And I was researching various healing modalities to help them without having to give them harsh medications. So I looked at naturopathy, homeopathy, color therapy, aromatherapy, you name it. And when I got to Ayurveda, I just fell in love. I knew that this was something I would be practicing for my entire life. The basic premise behind Ayurveda is that everything in the universe, including people, is made up of the 5 elements. So from the most subtle to the most gross, that would be space, air, fire, water, and earth. And from these 5 elements come our 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So Vata is dominant in the air and space elements. And so Vata types are light and airy, they're spontaneous, they're more slim, and I would liken the Vata types to a hummingbird. So they're very creative, but they have a short attention span. They're very quick and they get bored easily. Pitta types are more dominant in the elements of fire and water. And so they're more of a sturdy build, athletic, muscular. They have a very keen sense of intelligence. They are a little bit impatient, and because of that fire, they can get angry. They make good leaders, but they can also get bossy when they're out of balance. So the Pitta types I would liken to an eagle. So an eagle is more muscular of a bird, and they're also a hunter. They are determined and they are goal setters. So you might see an eagle perched on a cliff and then they're looking for their prey, and then boom, they go down and get it. And then the Kapha types are dominant in the elements of earth and water. So these types are more laid back and easygoing. They're very loving, they're very kind, they make good caregivers, good parents. But they can be a little stick in the mud sometimes. Earth and water make mud, and they need motivation. Kapha types I would liken to a swan. Swans are a little bit heavier set. They take their time. They're very family oriented. Swans are monogamous birds, and they love their families. So those are the 3 dosha types. So to find your dosha, you might identify more strongly with one of those 3. There's also many different quizzes online you could take because it's about mind and body. So you got to think about both in terms of, what your dosha is. But the best way to identify your dosha, your true dosha, is through going to an Ayurvedic practitioner or an Ayurvedic doctor, and then they will take your pulse. And it's a 3-finger technique, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and they will be able to, gently press on your wrist, the inside of your wrist, and they'll be able to more specifically pinpoint where your balance is and where you're out of balance. So your dosha balance is your prakruti, your constitution, and your imbalance is your vikruti, what is out of balance.
Kapha represents conservation of energy, Pitta represents transformation of energy, and Vata utilization of energy. So the body is always striking a balance, and life can exist only when there is a balance between these 3 processes. The process of conservation, transformation, and utilization of energy. So it's very interesting that these principles are called by the term dosha. So the word dosha actually means fault. So this is also a kind of a paradoxical statement which says that the body is balanced by faults or doshas. If we look deeper into this concept, what the texts of Ayurveda are indicating by the use of this word dosha is that, the lifeline of the body itself is the fault line. The body has this ability to self-regulate, but in due course, as life moves forward, there is a point of time when this self-regulatory mechanism breaks down. And so the very doshas that are responsible for preserving body and life also becomes responsible for destruction, disintegration.
When your doshas are in balance, then you feel great. You have lots of energy, you have no trouble getting to sleep, you're productive, you get work done, you see it reflected in your relationships because you're a nice person. So we know when our doshas are in balance. How do we know when they're out of balance? Well, it's kind of the opposite. You don't feel so good. You're a little funky, out of whack a little bit. You can't pinpoint exactly what's wrong. It's not like you're sick, but you're just not at your best.
So the concept of Prakriti tells us that we are all made of the same ingredients. If we look at it from physics, from chemistry, from biology, we can see that the stuff that we are all made of is the same. It's the same number of atoms, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. If you look at the nucleic acids, our genetic material, it's all made of the same 4 nucleic acids, adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine. If you look at it from a biological point of view, we're all made of the same types of cells. They are all organized together to create our human form. But then what is it that makes us different? It's the way we are configured. Even though we are made of the same ingredients, we are configured differently. And that configuration, which happens at the time of conception, which is influenced by the state of our doshas, by the state of the trigunas of the mind, by our ethnic background, by our familial inheritance, the place where we are born, where we are living, the influence of time, aging. So what Ayurveda understands as Prakriti is the sum total of our personality, which is influenced by both genetics and epigenetics. And this is a very dynamic concept that we need to understand more deeply rather than just, simplify it as a typing of the human body into 3 types, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So there's more to it in Prakriti, and this requires a deeper study of the Ayurvedic texts, the teachings and the traditions.
So per Ayurveda, sister science of yoga, the entire universe, including the human body, is made up of 5 elements. The element of water, earth, fire, air and space. So everybody has heard about the doshas, which is the union of each 2 of these elements: Vata, air and space; Kapha, earth and water; Pitta, fire and water. So everybody knows about the doshas and constitution, and everybody is interested in knowing their dosha and constitution. But there is also sub-doshas, which are as important as the dosha. Most people haven't heard about the sub-doshas unless you've studied Ayurveda. But your Ayurvedic practitioner, physician or doctor is always keeping into consideration what's happening with the sub-doshas. Each dosha has 5 sub-doshas. Pitta has 5, Vata has 5, and Kapha has 5. So if we, for example, look at the sub-doshas of Vata, there is 5. What are those? So it's Prana Vayu, Vyana Vayu, Samana Vayu, Apana Vayu, and Udana Vayu. These Vayus are the principle of energetic movement or flow within the system. And each energetic flow has a direction. We know based on quantum physics that energy has vectors of movement which directs it in a particular direction. So, for example, Prana Vayu, which is a subdosha of Vata, its direction of movement, Vyana Vayu, is from center to periphery. Samana Vayu is from periphery to center. Prana Vayu is outside to inside. Apana Vayu is the downward direction. Udana Vayu is the upward direction of movement. Why is this important? Because, for example, in Malavastamba or constipation, Apana Vayu is blocked, and Apana Vayu is responsible for downward movement of energy, or it's responsible for the elimination processes. So someone who has irregular bowel movement or constipation, their Apana Vayu, downward energy is blocked. When the downward energy is blocked, the opposing Vayu, which is upward movement of energy, Udana Vayu, is aggravated and vitiated. In this case, a lot of people with constipation may also experience headache, because what energetic flow that was naturally supposed to be downward is now moving up. And we know that even if you just look at the physiology based on Western medicine, when you don't eliminate, you could have toxicities moving back into circulation.
Now, what is Dincharya? Dina means day and Charya means behavior or lifestyle. So precisely, Dinacharya means how do you live or behave through the day. This is exactly the same principles that Ayurveda recommends how you should be living your day in a specific pattern to derive maximum output out of yourself through the day and live your best life every single day. The idea is when you wake up in the morning, the very first thing you should be doing is setting up your intention for the day. Then the cleansing part comes into practice. Through the whole night, our body is really functioning very hard to cleanse our internal toxicity. And early morning is the time when the toxicity has to be or should be out of the body. We should be really practicing elimination of the senses, elimination from the body to prepare our body and mind for the day. Now Ayurveda as a part of Dinacharya recommends cleansing practices for the senses in the form of Jalniti, in the form of oil pulling. The stimulation of body is the next step, which is precisely achieved by yogic practices. The whole idea is to get the blood circulation going. The blood circulation carries out all the toxicity in soft corners of the body to make us feel fresh and be ready for the day. Similarly, the idea of stimulation is also to get our joints going so that we have mobility through the day to achieve our daily tasks in a flowing manner, in a flexible manner. The third part of Dinacharya is to nourish our body really well, and that's where the role of a good breakfast comes into practice. What is a good breakfast? Ayurveda recommends to have sprouts, fruits or porridges in the morning for the simple reason it is not just about carbohydrates and proteins or any other nutrition form. It is also about the energy that these live foods carry and the same energy being passed on to your mind, and that's where you start to feel that focus, that concentration.
Swasthasya ayush rakshanarth brahma muhurta uttishthyate means to preserve the health and to get the rejuvenating effect. It is really good to wake up early in the morning, and that time period starts at 96 minutes exactly before the sunrise, considered as a Brahma Muhurta. Why we say that waking up Brahma Muhurta is so important? Brahma means self, to attain the knowledge, and that is the time period when the mind becomes so quiet, because we are macrosome and microsome, we are byproduct of macrosome. And that is the time period when you are more inclined towards the nature. That is the time period when there is a sattvic environment. Sattvic means pure environment. If you see that, that is the time when there is a no noise pollution. And that cultivates more prana. Prana, which is a vital force, which is a positive energy. And that helps in not only in the physical mind as well as the physical body.
Now, there are 4 key factors to remember when it comes to setting your routine once you have that sleep cycle. Food, water, breath, and perception. So when it comes to food, when is the most important? The largest meal of the day should be during the daytime pitta hours when the energy of transformation is supportive to break down that larger meal, which is why we usually will have our larger meal around the noon to 1:30 p.m. hour. Now, our breakfast and our dinner are usually during the kapha hours, and that energy is for cohesion. It is heavier, so we want to have a lighter meal during our breakfast and our dinner. Now, when it comes to our dinner, we don't want to eat too close to the bedtime hour, so ideally finishing up that enjoyable meal 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. And then there's water. So with water, we want to make sure that we're drinking it at the right temperature. Cold water will dampen the digestive fire, the Agni. So having your water at lukewarm temperature or warm is even better. And then of course enough water, but not too much. So the recommended dosage is 64 ounces for an adult. That's the average. And the next is breath. So wherever the breath goes, the mind follows. And we want to make sure that we keep the mind nice and balanced, but we also want to regulate prana, that energy, throughout our system. And the way that we do that is we first begin with some deep diaphragmatic breathing. That's where on the inhale, the belly rises, and on the exhale, the belly falls. So I'll show you. A deep breath in through the nose, belly rises. And exhale out the mouth as the belly falls.
Nadi Shodhana is used by taking your pointer finger and your middle finger and putting them down. And then what you want to do is you want to utilize your thumb and your ring finger to plug each side of your nostril. Now what you want to do is you want to always start with your left side. So you're going to plug your right nostril And you're going to take a deep breath very slowly, breathing in through the left nostril. You're going to hold, close both nostrils, hold, and then you're going to release the opposite side. You're going to release the right side. And exhale through the right nostril. Now what you want to do is you want to come back the same way that you came. So you're going to breathe back in through the right nostril, plug it, and then you're going to exhale on the opposite side through the left nostril. And so in doing this, it actually will bring more calmness to your nervous system and allow you to be in a focused state of mind. I highly recommend this for our first responders in preparing for high-stress situations. Ayurveda offers several breathing techniques to support different mind-body states.
In order to show our children the 6 tastes, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent, what I would do is gather all 6 tastes around the table and do a little taste test. Where on your tongue do you experience the salty taste, the bitter taste? Does it make your lips or your mouth do something different that you're not used to? See, Ayurveda is a common sense science, and we actually know quite a bit. When we're hot, we naturally reach for something cooling. When we're cold, we reach for something warm. When food is bland, we reach for spice. And good parenting techniques would be one to lead by example. As they get older, you obviously need to appeal to their intelligence, help them understand why do we sleep at a certain time, why do we eat our meals at a certain time, why do we do the self-care practices. And then, of course, growing up, let's say you decide to use some mild cumin water for hiccups. They will remember that. For an upset tummy, you could use some mild ginger tea. And then if they cut themselves, try putting a little turmeric on the cut so that they can see food is medicine, spice is medicine. And if we can teach our future generation how important it is to eat the right foods at the right time, have the proper sleep, not to overuse or underuse our senses, then we will be creating an amazing future, not only for them, but for the future generations as well.
As per Ayurveda, Kapha, childhood is a Kapha dominant phase. So that's why kids are often attracted to eating sweet and heavier foods. So it's important to include bitter greens and bitter vegetables like broccolis, Brussels sprouts, Karela with a bit of ghee so that they are getting balanced meals to balance the doshas and as well as nourishing with vitamins and minerals. The second thing is to make eating a mindful experience. We are all distracted while eating with screens and television and all these things. Avoid these kind of distractions and encourage them to identify the taste in their food and how it affects their mood and experience afterward. The third important thing is it's good to get their hands dirty. So during childhood, their immune system is still building and it is weak. So if we let them encourage them to play outside and get exposed to all the elements like soil and mud, it helps their body to build a natural defense mechanism and to boost their immunity. So the fourth important thing is to create or cultivate good habits, including simple daily Ayurvedic rituals like tongue cleaning and encouraging them to swish their mouth with warm water daily can help them to clean their oral cavity well and to remove any toxins like ama from their tongue and prevents any allergies. One other simple thing is during the seasonal transition like from winter to spring, we see a lot of allergies like allergic rhinitis and flu. Applying a simple ghee inside their nostrils before heading out every day could actually help as a barrier between their mucosa and the pollen and irritants and prevent all these kinds of seasonal allergies. The final and important point is to ensure they are getting a good sleep. Sleep is one of the 3 important pillars for our health, and if you create a positive experience for them like encouraging them to read a book and then doing a simple warm oil massage of their feet before they sleep can actually help to give them optimal sleep and also balance any kind of vata and pitta and create that stronger foundation that we need.
This whole system works in a rhythm. Our heart beats in a rhythm, lungs contract and expand in a rhythm, The peristalsis movement of the intestines, they are also working in a rhythm. Secretion of digestive juices, secretion of hormones, everything in this body works in a rhythm. In a way, we can say rhythm is health. Whenever we get out of rhythm, whenever we lose our rhythm, that is what is called a disease. For example, the intestines lose their rhythm, so that will be diarrhea or constipation. If the heart loses its original rhythm, that will become arrhythmia. If the lungs lose their rhythm, that will become asthma. So what can we do? Just three simple things. Number one, if you want to maintain the rhythm, maintain regularity in your daily routine. Very simple. Eating time, sleeping time, waking up time, exercise time, everything should be regular. Outside regularity will resonate with your inner body and rhythm will be maintained. And the second thing is hydration. If we keep this body hydrated, the body will stay healthy. It's like in our home we have plants, so we water them regularly. Do not put into this body cold drinks, alcohol, coffee, and all these things, because we don't put these things into our plants also. Because if we put them inside, they cause dehydration. And dehydration causes degeneration. And the third thing is lubrication. Lubrication is also very, very important because our body is like a machine. There is so much happening in this body, continuous action is going on, and because of that, there is dryness. And dryness can be dangerous because dryness also causes wear and tear, it causes degeneration. So therefore in Ayurveda we suggest oiling. Every day you must apply oil on your body, apply oil in your nose, apply oil in your ears, apply oil on the scalp. Simple things you can do in your daily routine, and this will keep you healthy and happy. Maintain the rhythm and stay healthy.
Currently, we are witnessing epidemiological transition when non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases are emerging very, very strongly. And modern medicine has several limitations to treat these diseases. Ayurveda considers human being as a whole. So body, mind and spirit is the root of it. And from that point of view, nature and human being are considered as one entity. And not just symptomatic treatment is not there in Ayurveda. Ayurveda also can give you symptomatic treatment, but mind-body medicine, what is called in West, is core of Ayurveda. And so, lifestyle diseases can be best managed if you are able to really manage your behavior and your own lifestyle. This advice is given in Ayurveda in a branch called Swastha Vritti. Dinacharya and Ritucharya are the most powerful ways to modify your own behavior, in which exercises like yogasanas will come and nutrition will come. I believe that Ayurveda is the most sophisticated science of nutrition. It doesn't look at only proximate principles and calorie. It looks at the nutrition from entirely different point of view. Because just by giving protein is not going to resolve your problem. How much of that protein is going to get assimilated and used for your body is a key question. So for that purpose, Ayurvedic concept of rasa and Ayurvedic concept of Agni comes to your rescue. And expert Ayurvedic Vaidya looking at you can decide chronobiologically also which season, one of the Nobel Prize has gone for chronobiology concept, which season and which time of the day is good for you for taking this kind of a treatment. And not only treatment, Ayurveda, as I told you, helps you to remain healthy. And therefore, Ayurveda is one of the sophisticated science that gives you excellent advice for nutrition, diet, exercise and lifestyle. And therefore, in today's situation, when the world is facing problem of epidemiological transition in communicable and non-communicable diseases, both as a double burden of disease, immunology and inflammation control with various interventions of Ayurveda are going to be extremely useful for the future.
Ayurveda always says that it's not just what we eat, it's how we eat it. And it's not just what we eat, it's what we digest. So when our digestion is strong, our immune system is going to be strong. So you have to know your personal digestive tendencies.
To me, diet and lifestyle are probably one of the most interesting aspects of Ayurveda because it's so empowering. It gives you so much control over your health and your well-being. Your kitchen cabinet, your spice cabinet is an apothecary. I mean, cumin seeds, turmeric, mustard seeds, dhania powder, whatever have you, they have such incredible healing powers. So when my non-Indian clients, or even my Indian clients, ask me, oh, is Ayurvedic Indian cooking? I'm like, hold on. Chicken tikka masala is not written in the Vedas. So no, Indian cooking is not necessarily Ayurvedic cooking, and you can apply the Ayurvedic cooking principles to different cuisines. It's about the taste. It's about eating seasonal. It's about paying attention to how foods feel in your body. How do they make you feel mentally? To me, Ayurvedic cooking is all about, it's like a meditative process.
Even the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, agrees by saying all the diseases begin in our gut. So what are the fundamental principles of healthy digestion as per Ayurveda? So the first principle is to ensure the food you are eating is coming from a plant and not made in a plant. Avoid preservatives and chemically additive foods and go for warm, nourishing and unctuous food and freshly prepared meal. The second point is what goes on in your mind here has an impact on here in your gut. So pay attention to what you're eating and eat your meals with positive emotions. The third important point is to eat heavier and sweet foods in the beginning of a meal and not at the end of a meal. Ayurveda says the sweet taste or foods with sweet taste are heavier to digest, and if we eat them at the beginning of the meal, it's easier on our digestion.
It is estimated that by 2025, there would be 1 billion menopausal women globally. Out of them, about 50% feel negatively. And the most common symptoms are hot flashes, night sweats, dyspareunia, dryness of vagina, burning menstruation. They suffer from loss of sleep, loss of confidence, anxiety. Interestingly, in classical Ayurvedic texts, we do not find mention of a reference of menopause or similar condition. The reason could be women at that time lived in a society where Ayurveda was a standard of health. They lived an Ayurvedic way of life. So how Ayurveda can help these menopausal women today? Ayurveda is preventative as well as therapeutic. As a preventive aspect, following Dincharya and Ritucharya is highly recommended. Ayurvedic Dincharya is nourishing, nurturing, cleansing, detoxifying, and at the same time, it helps maintain the homeostasis of the body. It is dosha balancing, and it is very easy to follow Dincharya, Ayurvedic Dincharya, even for working women.
Imagine you have a car, but you don't know what type of car is this, whether it is a diesel car or it's a petrol car or it's an electric car. You don't even know the traffic rules. You don't know how to drive the car. So this is our situation today, exactly the situation of every global citizen. We have this wonderful complicated car, but we don't know much about this car. That's why every human being on this globe must know the basic principles of Ayurveda. Because Ayurveda is a universal knowledge, and the simple principle that Ayurveda teaches us is to understand our own self, to understand our physical constitution, to understand our physical body, to understand our mental constitution. Once I know what type of constitution I have, what is my prakriti, then I can choose my food, I can choose my lifestyle, I can choose my exercise, I can even choose my music, my songs I want to hear, my colors that I want to wear, the aroma that will be suitable for me. Everything can be personalized. And this is what Ayurveda talks about. Personalized and a simple knowledge that helps me to create harmony and balance at physical, mental, spiritual level. So this is a very, very important application, and every human being must know what is their constitution, so that they do not make a mistake of choosing the wrong food or eating the wrong food or doing a wrong kind of lifestyle. This is a simple global application for every global citizen. Once you know your constitution, then you will be staying in harmony, you will be staying in balance. In addition to this, there are protocols of daily routines which are called Dinacharya. There are protocols of Ritucharya, which are the seasonal regimen. This is also very important. What should I do from morning till night? How should I behave? And of course, how should I change my routine, my regimen according to the season? If it is winter, there is a winter season regimen. If it is summer, it is a summer season regimen that I have to follow. Everything in Ayurveda helps me to maintain the balance, helps me to maintain the harmony, and that is what is called health.
There are three kinds of fasting: body fasting, mental fasting, and verbal fasting. What is body fasting? Why that is more important thing in Ayurveda? What is that we are intaking into our body? Air, water, food, primarily. Of course, there are other parameters like emotions, thoughts. It belongs to mental state. When you take air, water, and food, air and water, it's very easy to digest, and they're very natural. And if you look at the food, unfortunately, most of the food we are intaking and not a great. When I say not great, this can be processed food, frozen food, and it's not fresh food, and it's non-organic food. And we are actually getting this from different places. We never know when exactly it's packed. That's the state of affair right now, unfortunately. What really happens when you take a bad food, or like, a frozen or a different kind of a food? It takes a lot of time to digest. Just imagine you have a good lunch. Probably 40 to 50% of the food can be digested easily. What happened to other food? So there is something called ama in Ayurveda. Ama means undigested food. The undigested food in your body, that's like, it can be very hard meat or different kind of a food. Body doesn't understand these kind of a food very easily. And this undigested food, ama, find different kind of a weak points, weak areas in the body. They just go and live there for some time. That's when all the toxins getting produced in your body. When the body is not in good condition, and when we overeat and keep on actually feeding the stomach, definitely body doesn't understand this, and it will get into imbalance kind of a mode, and all kind of a diseases will start from the gut. So the fasting is very, very important technique for centuries. Even sages and different kind of yogis, they all practice even today. Most of the people, they eat one-day meal in the midday between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and the next meal is next day. So they have a lot of time, and the body actually, it has more time to process the food and cleanse the entire body. And the next day when they take the meal, and their stomach is in a good condition to take another meal. 75% of our body energy, is going towards digesting the food, and only 25% left for other matters. When you can reduce that time to digest your food, and you have a lot of time for other things, so the mental activities, and others, you can use the energy for right reasons. So how to fast and when to fast? I would highly recommend you to see Ayurvedic doctor, find out your constitution, dosha, and which fasting technique can be really good for you. We have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha types, and doctors can recommend you which fasting is good for you. If you're very healthy, you have no diseases, you can always try out, a fasting for a couple of days. That's absolutely not a problem. I discourage fasting for someone who has some kind of a diseases already, or like old people who are actually suffering with diabetes or different kind of diseases, unless you consult the doctor. Don't go for fasting. For regular people, it's easy to try out these fasting techniques. So you can go for water fasting, a fruit or a liquid fasting. You can go with fruit juices or a fresh vegetable juice. And the third one can be no food fasting. Absolutely, you're shutting your mouth for a day or a couple of days. So what happens when you do fasting? So you're pretty much allowing your body to cleanse on its own. Otherwise, you keep on feeding your body with a lot of material, and your body doesn't even understand, and it's not capable to process the food you are intaking, and it is not able to manage your toxins. It needs a time badly. That is one of the reasons I highly recommend one-day fasting in a week, or like once in 10 days is really, really good for you. So when to fast is another question. So I highly recommend to give at least 7 to 8 hours between meals. Let us say you want to start fasting tomorrow. The best way to do is start warming up from today. So you take a breakfast at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then you take a lunch, good lunch, around 2:30. And then don't take anything in the evening until next day, 8 a.m. So what happens is that you are giving good 15-16 hours where you're preparing your body for fasting. If you want to have a little breakfast, you can. Otherwise, the next day, straight away go for a lunch around 1 to 2:30 p.m. Good lunch. And then don't eat until next day, same time. So you're giving 24 hours kind of a gap. So the miracle can happen during this time. So when you do fasting and you feel some kind of uneasiness, or you don't feel good and you think, hell with this, let me go eat, and you can't resist, and if someone is actually eating in front of you, and that's where you have to control yourself. You really do. And why you are getting uneasiness is there is something is burning in your body. So your body is working on your toxins. That is the reason you get some kind of uneasiness. It's absolutely okay to handle that. There's nothing wrong in it. So how to actually break the fasting? So you slowly do it. You don't have to break the fasting right away, and immediately after fasting going for a huge meal is not at all recommended.
Ayurveda has protocols. When people come to us, we use treatment protocols that are described in Ayurveda, and the most important thing that we do is to find out what is the root cause of the problem. The root cause in Ayurveda can be in the body or in the mind. So therefore, when people come to us, we find the root cause and we make a treatment protocol. The treatment protocol starts with a Shodhana Chikitsa, if the disease is very chronic, which is the Panchakarma treatments. And after that, we have Shamana Chikitsa, in which we give internal medicine. And then we have rejuvenative, Rasayan Chikitsa, to give rejuvenative treatment so that the disease doesn't come back. And most important part, what we call as Pathya Pathya, which means not doing things which are harmful for the disease or which can increase the cause of the disease. Therefore, avoiding the root cause, which is also called Nidan Parivarjana, is also a very important part of Ayurvedic treatment.
If your environment around you is constantly affecting and changing your inner environment, then you are at a constant loss. But if your inner state of harmony and balance and stability of the inner environment is capable to influence outer environment, I think that is the way to live. And that is the way to live in an enlightened way. The science that we talk about is epigenetics. It is the environment that you live, how you react to that environment is exactly how your genes respond to. You can turn on and turn off your genes with the way you respond to a given situation in life. So Ayurveda is an epigenetic science. It talks about you can change your relationship with time. And that is a very important concept. Not long ago, I wrote a book called as Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. It was all about chronobiology. It was all about biological timing of doing the right thing at the right time. It's not important what you eat, but when you eat. It's not important how much exercise you do, but when you exercise. It's not important how much sleep you get, but when do you sleep? Are you living your life in accordance with the movement of sun, moon, and stars? The lunar calendars that Vedic literature talks about is in perfect sync. I think more so than the solar and the Gregorian calendar, the chronobiological understanding of the impact of sun, moon, and stars in your daily living, it's a template that is created through Ayurveda and Jyotish itself. When we say it is a true personalized medicine, it identifies people through Vata, Pitta, and Kapha body type and understands their genetic as well as metabolic differences and create a template for living where you can keep your doshas in balance. One size fits for all is not the approach that Ayurveda has ever talked about. It is creating a tailor-made design to a given person, given age, given body type, given geographical area where you live, and creating and practicing a medicine which is absolutely precise and tailor-made for you. What is so unique about Ayurveda is the concept that we have talked about are constantly revalidated with the latest science that is coming out. We have been talking about Agni and Ama for ages together. Agni is your digestive fire, your metabolic ability to digest the food much more easily and effectively, and the metabolic toxins that it gives rise to called as Ama. These are the metabolic impurities which work like an endogenous toxin that slows down the functioning of your digestion and your physiology. So the latest science of microbiome, understanding that the amount of your own genes that you call as a human being in your own body is less than 1%. About 99% of the genes, 99% of the genes that you have in your body do not belong to you. They belong to the microbes. So the age-old Vedic expression is whether you live in their body or they live in your body. If you make their life difficult, they'll make your life very difficult. So having a symbiotic association with the microbial colonies that are living happily in you, within you, in all the openings, that's what Ayurveda is all about. Understanding the openings, taking care of all those orifices, putting drops in your nose, putting drops in your ears, taking care of your eyes, taking care of your oral health with gargling, with oil pulling, with nasya, with oil enema, with body massage, abhyanga on a regular basis. You're repopulating and recalibrating this microbial colony, which becomes much more harmonious for yourself. So the Ayurvedic concept of detoxification, the Ayurvedic concept of understanding gut as the root cause of all diseases, restoring and improving the quality of your digestion and metabolism is very important. Agni is a concept which we have respected over ages together. Understanding that what you eat is important, but what you digest is even more important. There's an Ayurvedic saying that to eat is human, but to digest is divine. Diet, exercise, sleep, these are the three pillars that Ayurveda has always talked about. And Ayurveda has a very unique definition about diet. Diet is something what you take in from any field of perception, from any mode of intellect, that is diet. It's not what you eat, but what you touch, what you feel, what you smell, what you touch, what you inhale, what you ingest. The word ahara means everything that you take in. So what is in your plate is just 1/5 of your diet. The rest is what you ingest from your sensory perspective and how you metabolize it. There's an age-old concept in Ayurveda about the art of metabolizing experiences, so that you're looking at the brighter side of everything and you're slowly changing your behavioral instinct to be optimistic and to be more positive, managing your stresses much more effectively from a spiritual perspective of life. Achar Rasayana, which is a behavioral Rasayana that we have always talked about, which simply means that optimizing your behavior, because you don't want to improve your behavior or change your thoughts just for your petty little means or trying to be happy. But what we know and what modern science has been talking about lately is that every thought generates a molecule. And not only it generates a molecule, it is interconnected with so many different systems across the human physiology. There's a new branch in medicine that is coming out that is very Ayurvedic in nature, which is called as neuroendocrino-psychoimmunology, which simply means that what is going on in your head, in your mind, is affecting your nervous system, your immune system, your digestive system, your gut behavior, and more importantly, all the endocrinological behaviors are just mere reflections of that. So in the light of growing epidemic of autoimmune condition, cancers, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, these are spectrum diseases, these are lifestyle diseases. And Ayurveda is a truly lifestyle medicine. And what we know, that these lifestyle diseases, about 80 to 90% of that, not only they can be prevented, but they can be even reversed by making changes in your diet and lifestyle. And I think that is the reason why Ayurveda is the new age medicine. That is the reason that we understand Ayurveda as the whole package. Understanding food, diet, routine, lifestyle, interacting with Mother Nature, selecting the right forms of herbs and herbal formulations in its true form. Because an herb that you use, whether you talk about ashwagandha or amalaki or shatavari, using the herb as a whole and treating the patient as a whole is the very concept of Ayurveda from its clinical medicine perspective. And how we use medicine, how we prepare medicine, restoring the intelligence within the herb. Space, air, fire, water and earth, and restoring the ecological balance within the herb so that the person who is consuming that, there are no side effects, but there are multiple side benefits. So Panchakarma is the ancient Ayurvedic art of detoxification as well as rejuvenation. And going back to this concept of boosting immunity, having a Rasayana program that is anti-aging, reversing the aging process, slowing down the aging, and optimizing your function as a human being is, I think, the very purpose and the basis of Ayurveda. Because no matter what you want to do, dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam moolam uttamam. Health is the very basis of everything. And we often like to say that health is mere a byproduct of enlightenment.
Whether it is depression, anxiety, or memory issues, dementia, even the autism in children, there are herbal protocols. There are external therapies. There is a protocol called Panchakarma, the five-fold purification protocol from the traditional Ayurveda to reset the whole system. Purification and rejuvenation together. A very unique and powerful offering from Ayurveda.
This Indian system of medicine can be used for curative purpose for certain diseases, also for regeneration of the body, also to prevent different diseases, different virus and bacterial diseases, to boost immunity of the person. This is one of the greatest advantage of Ayurveda treatments.
During the current COVID pandemic, a lot of people are working from home. As a result, there is excessive use of gadgets. The screen time has increased. Even when the work is over, for entertainment, we are watching net series, or we are watching television, or we are playing some game on the computer. So this has led to a lot of problems, especially not only just physical level, but also at the mental level. At physical level, of course, straining eyes, dry eyes. The ears are also having problems because all the time we have earphones. The electromagnetic radiations, it affects our nervous system and brain, causes headache sometimes. At the mental level, there's a lot of irritation, frustration, anxiety, depression. Some people have lost interest in life. And of course, there are other pressures like financial pressures, losing jobs, unemployment. All this have led to many problems. How can Ayurveda help? According to Ayurveda, this is a problem of increased vata in the brain or in the nervous system. And of course, at the mental level, there's a lot of agitation and disturbance, which is called excessive rajas at the mental level. So what to do? There are some simple things you can do at home. To balance vata, drink an anti-vata tea. Ginger, cinnamon and clove. Very simple, easily available in your kitchen. Just make a nice tea, drink twice a day. In the night before you go to bed, drink a cup of hot turmeric milk. Very popular. Turmeric is very nice. You can add a few pieces of saffron in this also. Just a quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder in a cup of milk, boil it, put 3 or 4 pieces of saffron and drink it before you go to bed. For calming down the mind, listen to some soft music, put some nice aroma, and before you go to bed, massage your feet so that you can have a nice deep sleep. Massaging your head at least 2-3 times a week will also calm down the vata. And do not forget, one of the biggest problems that we have, neck ache, back ache, posture related problems, because the posture is not good. So every morning, at least for 20 to 30 minutes, do some stretching exercise, yoga, and do not forget to do the breathing exercise, which is called pranayama, and meditation is very important. The best asana to calm down the mind and the relaxation of the body is called Shavasana. So practice these simple tips, calm down your vata, and you can face the pandemic crisis in a much better way.
An important one which I would like to mention here is the combination of sattva, rajas and tamas. These three denote the three different states of mind. These three parameters are not only interconnected, but they also impact mental health. These are further subclassified into 16 subtypes. Ayurveda has a number of techniques and methods for training the mind and maintaining the mental health. This ranges from you have food, you have lifestyle, you have yoga, meditation, chanting of mantras, counseling, and even medicines and panchakarma.
Self-massage, applying certain oils to the head, and the Ayurvedic formulations and herbs to support that journey of healing. Now, some of the herbs that we recommend, and I also recommend in my practice, we have different mediums, and I'm going to show you a few. So this one is Kalyanaka Ghritam. Now, this is a ghee-based preparation. We have others. Brahmi Ghritam is also good for the mind, many others. The ghee base breaks the blood-brain barrier. So all of the herbs that are mixed in with this Ghritam will get exactly where we want them to go to support the mind. There are others like ashwagandha. There are Brahmi capsules. These happen to be in capsule form, which is a little bit easier in this day and age as far as how busy we are. We have other preparations that are jam-based. This one is Shatavari Gulam. Now this not only supports the mind, but more importantly, it supports the hormonal cycle. And a woman's hormones are directly connected with her mind. So learning how to balance that out, that's really important. We also have arishtams generally taken after a meal that will support different imbalances. This one is Saraswata Arishtam, so this helps with memory, among other things. And then we have these little tiny pills, the Vatikas. Now this particular one that I'm showing you is called Manasamitra Vatikam, which means friend of mind. And there are 72 or 73 herbs packed in this tiny little pill to support calming down excess Vata and Pitta in the mind. I cannot emphasize enough how much Ayurveda has helped me, and that is why I am so inspired to share it with you. If it can have such a profound impact on my life, my family's life, my clients and my Rogi's life, I know that it can help you.
Stress is considered as the overload of any system. There are only 3 types of human actions: physical actions, mental actions, and verbal actions. When we stretch beyond our threshold in any of these actions is considered as stress. Traditionally, it is called Ati Yoga, one of the most common reason for many of the health problems. Ayurveda provides great tools in managing this stress and the impact of stress in our mind-body system. Strengthening ourselves and stabilizing ourselves are considered as the 2 methodologies to combat with the stress. When our system is more stronger, it will be able to handle more. Beyond that, there are various dietary, lifestyle, and mindful practices suggested by Ayurveda in managing the stress and to ensure our well-being and longevity.
After studying more about Ayurveda, I started introducing Ayurvedic herbs and spices in the diet and lifestyle of my clients. I found miraculous results in the form of reduced levels of anxiety, stress, better sleep pattern, and they were better able to regulate their emotions with increased resilience. By restoring their gut health, they were able to balance the imbalances in their body. Looking at these results, I started to wonder why Ayurveda is not introduced early on in life to our children, teenagers. Why do we wait for an adult to experience physical and mental health condition before we introduce Ayurveda? Let our teenagers and young adults know if they are feeling low, are experiencing anxiety pangs or unreasonable rage, then this is not always due to their genetic coding or the environment they are living in. It can also be due to their diet, the food they consume, the schedule of eating and sleeping that they follow.
Now, ashwagandha is one of the herbs that Ayurveda highly recommends for dealing with stress disorders. How does it work? Ashwagandha actually helps soothe down the nervous disorders by activating the parasympathetic response and bringing our body back to rest. Ashwagandha nowadays is available in a supplement form. It is also available in a herb form which looks something like this. Ashwagandha can also be taken in the powdered form as per the recommendation of your Ayurvedic physician. One of the Ayurveda elixirs that you can make using ashwagandha is you can take 1 cup of almond milk, add some cinnamon to it, 1 small cardamom to it, half a spoon of ashwagandha and few rose petals along with 2 dates. Just blend everything together to a smooth consistency. Warm it on flame before consuming, and this can be really great stress healing elixir for you before you go off to bed.
This is a profound healing art and science under the umbrella of Ayurvedic medicine. Marma points are the vital points. They are these energy centers that are spread all over the body, front, back, up, down, in, out. Out of the 107 marma points, there are major marmas and minor marmas. And the major murmas are very, very profound in helping us with reducing stress, increasing our immunity, and strengthening our digestive system. These points, whether you are in a workplace, whether you are traveling, you have your herbs, you have your food, you don't have anything, still as a self-help technique, you can work on your murmur points. So let's look into the first murmur point, which is called as the Snapati murmur. Is right in the middle of your eyebrows, and this murmur point can be gently massaged with your ring finger. No pressure, no friction, no deep massage, just gentle massage clockwise from right to left. It could be 3 in numbers, 5 in numbers, 7 in numbers, 9 in numbers. By doing this, you are actually increasing the energy flow, which helps in reducing the stress, anxiety, or negative thinking. Then comes the Hridaya Murma, the Hridaya Murma, the heart murmur. Again, you can massage with the center of your hand, and this centering of your hand is also called as the Tala Hridaya. That means bottom of your hand. So from the bottom of the hand to the heart. So bottom of the hand or bottom of the heart to your heart. So connecting self-connection, and you're massaging in the clock direction, right to left, again 3, 5, 7, 9. Similarly, you can move down to the belly button, and from the center of your hand, you can just place your hand there and very gently massage clockwise 3, 5, 7, 9. This helps in opening these murmur points, which keeps the energy flow going.
Laughter yoga is a unique concept where anyone can laugh for no reason, without jokes, without comedies, and without having great sense of humor. What we do is we laugh in a group and initiate laughter as a form of exercises in the beginning. Your body cannot differentiate between real laughter and fake laughter. You will still get the same health benefits. People ask me a simple question: why should I force myself to laugh? Why can't I laugh by watching funny movies, comedies? I want to share with you, if you want to get health benefits of laughter, you must laugh at least for 10 to 15 minutes. It should be a sustained laughter. But that laughter comes in our real life hardly lasts for 2 to 3 seconds at a time. It's not sustained, and it will not give you physiological and biochemical changes, and you will not get health benefits. Laughter in our real life depends upon reasons, condition, and we don't have many reasons which makes us laugh. Laughter yoga is designed in such a way that we are laughing without depending upon external factors. We laugh from within as an exercise. One more time. Laughter yoga can change your mood within minutes by releasing certain chemicals from your brain cells called endorphins. If your mood is good, you do everything well. You'll be cheerful and laugh more than you normally do. Laughter exercises will strengthen your immune system and bring down the stress levels. If your immune system is strong, stress levels are down, you will not fall sick easily. You will not get cough, cold, sore throat, chest infections. But if you have some health problems, chronic health problems, you will heal much faster. By laughing, you increase the amount of oxygen to your brain and it will improve your efficiency and performance. You can work more than you normally do.
Looking at what Patanjali Sutras are. Now the thing is, most people know what meditation is. And meditation, you go to some agency, they'll teach you how to meditate, they'll empty your wallet, and that's the normal perspective of how you meditate. And then people come to see me and say, well, I want to be enlightened. How do I become realized? And the problem with that is that meditation alone will keep you on a path to nowhere. But it will keep you on a path. And as long as you have a wallet in your pocket, it's fine. It will just keep you on that path. One of the things that we're looking at is Patanjali Yoga Sutras gives you something that once you've learnt it, you have it for life. Yeah. And these are the main aspects of Yoga Sutras. But what I want to look at is that there is one sutra alone within Patanjali Yoga Sutras that is absolutely stunning and has to be learned, because it's a format that allows you to use all the sutras. And that sutra is called Sanyama, S-A-M-Y-A-M-A. And it's unusual in that it's showing the mind, or teaching the mind, how to do three things at once, which is very difficult. But once you learn the technique, it's very easy. The technique is not available by reading the book. You have to have a yogic mind to understand what the technique is. And the technique is that we have another sense, and that sense is your attention. Now most people, they know what attention is, but don't know where it is. So your attention is, as I'm looking now at you through the camera, my attention is through my eyesight. So my attention is fully, that means my mind is fully impacted on my eyesight. But what you need to understand is that attention is another sense, and it can be used for all sorts of things. By putting your attention on a place or a thing, you can actually do things with it.
Ayurveda is an eternal truth. It is the outcome of research of pure consciousness. That's why Ayurveda is considered as eternal. In Ayurveda, spices has been given very important role. For example, there are several spices like ginger, coriander, cumin, fennel, curcuma, asafoetida, ajwain, garlic, nutmeg, cinnamon, cardamom, etc. So now I am going to explain some of the spices and some recipes which one can follow in day-to-day life, which can improve their health. For example, if you take ginger, ginger is very good against the digestive problems, because nowadays the most of the problems are digestion related and metabolism related. For example, ginger, if you boil the ginger fresh slice in hot water and drink it like a tea, it helps to cure lot of digestive problems. For example, ginger can help to cure the gastric irritation. So ginger pressed and the fresh juice, if it is taken with honey in the morning, it can prevent gastric problems. Like that, if you add coriander, cumin and ginger, 1 teaspoon each, and make a juice out of it and take it every morning with honey. So this can prevent arthritis, joint problems, inflammatory problems. Coriander. Coriander is considered as best anti-cholesterol. Soak 1 tablespoon of coriander in 1 cup of hot water overnight and drink the water in the morning. This can prevent cholesterol problems and also it can prevent atherosclerosis. Fennel. Fennel is considered the best against gastric problems, bloating. So, one who has gas problems, they can take fennel in water like a fennel tea. The next spice is curcuma. Curcuma can do wonders. Curcuma is considered as immune booster. So it is very good for improving the immune system. Curcuma, when you take it like a tea, for example, you can take half a teaspoon of curcuma in 1 cup of hot water added with 3 pinches of black pepper. This can prevent cholesterol problems, this can prevent diabetes, this can prevent heart problems. This is a very good immune booster and it is very good antibiotic and best anti-cancerous. Asafoetida. Asafoetida is a very good spice which is very good for bloating or digestive problems. So if you take asafoetida powder and make it like a paste and apply it on the abdomen around the umbilicus, this can prevent gas problems, gastric problems and bloating and heaviness of the abdomen. Ajwain. Ajwain is a very good spice which is also very good in treating bloating problem and digestive problems. Ajwain can be taken as a tea also. Take a half teaspoon of ajwain in 1 cup of hot water and drink it like a tea, which can help to relieve the bloating problems and gastric problems. The other spice is garlic. Garlic is wonder drug, wonder spice. It is best anti-cholesterol. It prevents blockages in the arteries and veins. So garlic should be taken every day, 1 clove, 1 bud at least by every individual. Nutmeg. Nutmeg is very good for improving the sleep. For example, those who have sleeping problems. Nowadays it is a very common problem. So nutmeg mixed with honey before sleeping can improve the sleep. Nutmeg mixed with cacao powder, 1 teaspoon of cacao powder and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg powder and 1 teaspoon of honey can improve the sleep. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is considered to be a natural insulin. So it is best for preventing diabetes. The natural spices can be used as herbs in day-to-day life when used properly.
In Ayurveda, Ritucharya is very important. You have to eat based on the season. For example, eating ice cream during cold season is not a good idea. When we eat different kinds of food, for example, when you go to a restaurant, you get to see different items. We think that's a meal. You really have to watch, is it a good combination or a bad combination? There are certain foods when you take at the same time, they can turn out to be very poisonous too. You really have to watch that. When that happens, you get to see diarrhea or some kind of a stomach pain, different kind of activities. It's all because of bad combination. And taking soda or cold soft drinks along with heavy rice items or a biryani is not a good idea either. You really have to watch your digestion system. Your digestion is a fire. It loves hot food. It loves something warm. It doesn't like so much of a cold. When you intake anything cold, it takes a lot of time for your body to understand and digest it.
Ayurveda suggests that you follow this pattern for taking the right diet. These are the tastes as Madhur, Amla, Lavan, Tikht, Katu and Kashaya, or the sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter and astringent. Stale or leftover foods. Excess intake of pickled or fermented foods. Semi-cooked, overcooked or burnt food. This is Paka Virudh. Cooking, opposing. Cold foods and hot foods, if they are taken together, it is wrong. This is Sanyog Virudh. Combination, opposing. Eating without clearing of the bowels or urination is wrong. If a person is tired, fatigued and exerted and he takes food, this may lead to vomiting or Gulma Roga, which is formation of abdominal tumor. Food which is overripened, unripened or distorted tasted, this goes against richness of quality, so it is wrong. This is called as Sampad Virudh. Raw and dry foods should not be taken together. Cold foods should not be taken after taking ghee or the clarified butter. This is regarded as Upchar Virudh, or it opposes a treatment. Eating food when the person is not hungry. This is wrong because this is regarded as Karma Virudh, or sequence opposing. Not eating when the person is very hungry. This is again Karma Virudh, or sequence opposing. Eating food which is not liked by the mind. This is Hridaya Virudh, or opposing the heart. Talking while eating, this is called Vidhi Virudh in Ayurveda. This may cause Swarbheda or hoarseness of voice. And eating in public places, this is also called as Vidhi Virudh. That is, rules of eating are being opposed. Taking food immediately after bowels, this is wrong. This comes under Karma Virudh. And if a person is coming from sun, sweating, exerted, and then immediately drinks cold water, this increases thirst, and this may be called as Trishna. Cold water should not be taken after tea or coffee. Person is in a habit of taking hot foods and pungent foods and suddenly starts taking cold and sweet foods. This means this is Satami Virudh, that is, it opposes the wholesome character of food. Person is taking sweet foods at the end of the meal. This is wrong. And bitter and pungent tasting food should not be taken in start of the meal.
You can make some amazing beauty remedies right from the things that are in your own kitchen. And it's so easy. So let me give you just a few tips. Okay, number one, coconut oil. Coconut oil is really cooling. It makes an amazing moisturizer. It's super good in the summer when you want to balance your pitta. You can use coconut oil as a hair mask, as a hair conditioner, and you can also use it as a massage oil on your skin. Ghee is also amazingly moisturizing for your skin. So ghee is clarified butter. And yeah, you're going to put butter on your skin. That's fantastic for you. In fact, one really great sleep remedy that Ayurveda recommends is if you're having trouble sleeping or falling asleep, especially if you're a Vata type, massage some ghee onto the soles of your feet and then put some socks on so you don't get your sheets all oily. But that will help you get a really nice rest. And then you have the added benefit that it's going to moisturize your feet as well. It's fantastic. Chickpea flour is another great ingredient that you want to keep on hand because chickpea flour can be used to make scrubs or masks for your face. Super good for your skin. You can add coconut milk to it to make a paste. You can add rose water. Either one of those are good remedies to use for you. It just depends on your dosha, it depends on the time of year. But it's a really good way to add to your beauty routine for very minimal budget. If you're looking for an exfoliant, start with sugar. Add sugar to a little bit of coconut oil or ghee and use that on your skin, and it's fantastic. Really good for dry elbows, knees, soles of your feet, everything. Rose water makes an amazing toner. You just spray it on your face, or you can use a cotton swab and then pat it gently on your face. Very cooling, really good, especially if you're pitta and you are prone to breakouts and rosacea. Ayurveda loves a good bath, so it's wonderful to just submerge in the water. It's so balancing and relaxing, and you can add anything to it. Epsom salts are fantastic as a base, but then think about adding some rose petals to it, which would be lovely.
The important components that impact diabetes, we can categorize them under food, lifestyle, and stress. And in all these three areas, Ayurveda offers effective guidelines and personalized plans and protocols. For example, in food, Ayurveda says that because diabetes is a kapha dominant disease, meaning to say earth water element dominant disease, therefore in diabetes it is recommended that one consumes anti-kapha foods or avoids foods that increase kapha. So basically it is very much aligned to what modern times nutritionists or dietitians are recommending, that simple carbs should be avoided in diabetes. So Ayurveda also says that all of these simple carbs such as new grains, sweet vegetables such as peas, potatoes, sweet potatoes, squashes, etc. should be avoided or should be infrequent in the person's intake. And there should be more intake of dry foods such as the millets, such as the black chickpea, etc. So these are some of the foods that counter kapha and the kapha tendencies in the body. So there are very detailed guidelines around food. And of course, lifestyle, there are many guidelines, stress management, also the Sattva Vajaya and other tools that are offered in Ayurvedic psychology. They are very effective.
So if someone has the sleep issue, the haldi ka doodh, the turmeric milk, that is one of the best thing given by Ayurveda, not only for the sleep and also to improve your digestion and to enhance your immune system. And one can always prepare the haldi ka doodh or the turmeric milk by boiling the milk on the stove top to cultivate more positive energy in that, and adding the spices like turmeric, ginger powder, black pepper, nutmeg, one strand of saffron. Less is always good. When we encompasses all the spices, the pinch or the couple of pinch according to your body type is always good. You boil the milk and let it cool down, and at bedtime you can have that one warm cup of milk to improve the digestion, to improve the sleep, and also to enhance your immune system.
Do you know that there is an anti-aging branch in Ayurveda? Rasayana is one of the 8 clinical branches of Ayurveda, provides us all the tools and methodologies to sustain youthful vigor, to slow down the aging process, and even up to reversing the aging process. Every ancient Ayurvedic text will have at least one chapter on this concept of Rasayana. What is Rasayana? Rasa stands for the essence of the food getting absorbed to our system. Ayana means the pathway, the orbit, the cyclical pathway of the nutrition. If you are able to maintain a sustained, balanced pathway of nutrition, nourishing all the tissues, providing us sustainable energy, maintaining balanced optimal immune system. That itself helps us stay healthy with optimal vigor, as well as slowing down the aging process. Kuti Praveshika or Kaya Kalpa is an in-house therapeutic protocol where an individual will get admitted under the supervision of an experienced Ayurvedic doctor, go through rigorous detoxification and rejuvenation program to reverse the age and to bring the mind-body system back in time and able to sustain that youthful vigor and vitality for a long term. Rasayana is a wonderful concept which is yet to be completely explored and implemented in this modern world.
Let us talk about the very important burning issue of COVID-19. As of today, the number of cases worldwide have crossed 70 million and the number of deaths globally have crossed 1 million. This is truly a pandemic of gigantic proportions. People have started looking outside of the modern medicine realm to find out for themselves what else can they do, what else is working. And in many ways, more ways than one, not just in healthcare, but in other ways also. This pandemic has forced us to look at the basics. And Ayurveda comes in very strongly in these times because Ayurveda is largely about basics, about common sense, about self-care, about daily rituals, about seasonal alignments, about living in synchronicity with the nature. There has been a lot of talk about immunity. Now, immunity cannot be built overnight, but there are ways, there are protocols, there are guidelines, there are resources in Ayurveda which can prevent the immunity from weakening further. This is extremely important. Whatever immunity you have, you can preserve it by following the basic tenets of Ayurveda.
Ayurveda is playing a tremendous role here during the pandemic. As individuals are confronting the possibility of becoming very, very sick, they're looking at what they can do in order to improve their immune systems. You know, given how prevalent the disease is, everybody has to assume that they're going to get the disease. Now that's sad, and that's going to cause a lot of suffering. But it's going to cause less suffering if our immune systems are healthy. And people are realizing this, and they're realizing that Ayurveda offers tremendous amount of wisdom to be able to help individuals to keep their immune system strong. You know, if we contract an illness, it's really all about our body's defenses. And so our bodies have the capacity to manage COVID-19 and so many other diseases, but we have to be healthy in order to be able to do that. Ayurveda has been offering individuals this opportunity. Now, in addition to preventing the catastrophic effects of COVID-19, Ayurveda, through its tremendous herbal wisdom, has been contributing to the alleviation of suffering for individuals. Through Ayurvedic remedies, we've been able to support the immune system, we've been able to support the respiratory system, and we've been able to support other systems that are sometimes affected by this condition.
And this current COVID-like situation, improving immune system and reducing inflammation are two very, very important targets. And concept of Rasayana in Ayurveda is completely dedicated for this. Rasayana are used to improve your immunity. Rasayana also can downregulate many inflammatory markers. There is a lot of studies are happening, and we feel that Rasayana rejuvenation, what is typically called as in Ayurveda, are going to be very important in future of medicine.
And Ayurveda is the mother science of what we call adravya chikitsa. There are many things that are non-material that can be done. Fumigation, meditation, mantra chanting, just building the assurance, the comfort. You can call it placebo, you can call it whatever one likes, but the outcome is there. That in Ayurveda, we talk about immunity modulation. Immunity modulation is very different from immunity enhancing, immunity building, immunity strengthening. Strengthening we are doing, but we are not increasing immunity. These subtle differences are actually very significant because they are very misleading. We are not increasing the immune response. We are strengthening the immunity itself, not the response. It's the reserve of immunity in the body. And the reserve of immunity in the body is dependent on your Agni status. Now, this is a very, very important and key aspect or concept in Ayurveda. Agni is central to everything. Gut health, loosely correlated with the emerging realm of gut health. But this is such a strong point of Ayurveda. And that is why, where in India, Ayush Ministry has stepped up beautifully and very appropriately, very suitably to the need of the hour in the country at least, and has come up with some public health protocols that people can follow in their own homes by making some spice teas, by making some simple herb teas, etc. And these have been, time will tell because data is being collected, and Ayush Ministry has launched not only just simple protocols and apps, etc., but also clinical trials to actually document the effect of these simple daily practices and simple things that can be done at home. So we will definitely be generating and producing evidence towards these protocols. But what is very important is that these are low-cost things. These are things people can access very easily. My 2 cents is that while we wait for that big magic cure to come along, we should not be sitting and twiddling our thumbs. We should discard any egoistic approach towards this whole thing and see what is there and what is there already that is known and that can be utilized at this time. And in that aspect, I feel Ayurveda can and should be providing solutions urgently at this time. I know in India it is happening, but some of this can definitely be carried outside of India and integrated in the public health protocols or public health solutions that can be given away easily in the form of messaging for people to do in their very homes. Simple things like steaming, drinking hot water, applying oil in the nose. These are really benign and one should not overthink.
Ayurveda medicines, Ayurveda interventions are working at different level. There are a lot of medicines and interventions we have proved that they are immunomodulatory, and some of these interventions are comparable to even HCQ and other immunomodulatory medicines. And some medicines are effective for the mitigation of the COVID-19, reducing the time of hospitalization or early recovery. If somebody is positive, we have seen that the average recovery time, to become RT-PCR negative is 5 to 7 days in most of these cases. So those are the observations of these studies. Based on these evidences and previous publications, Government of India have actually released the National Clinical Management Protocol of COVID-19 based on Ayurveda and Yoga, which is very important, and it has paved the way of a formal treatment being offered from Ayurveda for the COVID-19 in India.
If Ayurvedic Vaidya diagnoses you properly that you may be prone for a particular disease, rather than going for expensive genetic testing, simple Ayurvedic measures can tell you what to do and what not to do. The Swastha Vrutta, the daily routine, the seasonal routine, the Ahar Vihar, all these are extremely powerful strengths and sophisticated processes of Ayurveda to regain health.
The science of Ayurveda tells us to prevent diseases and to enhance our immunity. There are few steps that we can do. First is inhalation of steam twice a day can help in preventing airborne or droplet-borne viruses from infecting us. So does using nasal drops of Anu Taila, 1 drop in each nostril. Doing a gargle of salt and turmeric in the mornings. Taking standardized herbal extracts of tulsi, ashwagandha, guduchi, garlic, and turmeric are helpful. When we cook our foods, use spices like black pepper, cinnamon, garlic, onion, ginger, turmeric, which all enhance our immunity.
Ayurveda has been very effective in treating these COVID patients. This has been very effective and useful in the COVID pandemic. It has been used for the purpose of the prophylactic to the people, as well as Ayurveda has also been used to treat the COVID patients in mild to moderate form. We have conducted a number of clinical trials. Precisely 84 clinical trials have been conducted at 112 locations, and in which various models they have been used, and in this various medicinal plants have been used. Say for example, this particular plant, this is known as Adhatoda vasaka. So this plant has also been used. Likewise, the Tinospora cordifolia or the giloy, that has been also used. Then Chyawanprash and many other medicines, they have also been used. And all these medicines, they have found to be very effective. They have the antiviral activity. They have been used as an immunomodulator. They have been also used for the various other purposes. They have been also have the protective activity on the lungs, on the heart. And all this cumulative effect, we can show that the overall impact of Ayurveda, we can assess that the patient, they become asymptomatic within 3 to 4 days, and they become COVID negative in 7 to 10 days, which is very much faster than the conventional medicine, where actually it takes about 15 days to become asymptomatic and almost 25 days to become COVID negative.
For every 5,000 population in villages and for every 3,000 population in cities, Ayush is given 12,500 centers. Standalone Ayurveda and other Ayush modalities is to be executed. This is first of its kind of this much large scale, where at entry level the Ayush care is being tested. So we are trying to develop benchmark at this level, so that a low cost model of healthcare, where promotion of health and prevention of health is also one of the very much priority area, is to be established, and we have developed all modalities. Over the period of next 4 years, we'll be able to establish 12,500 centers. This is big. Another area is we are working with the conventional health experts to offer services of Ayurveda into non-communicable diseases. We all know that now number one killer is non-communicable diseases. So there are modalities. We did a lot of pilot on more than 20 lakh people, where we were able to establish the fact and generate evidences that with the help of addition of Ayurveda and yoga for the hypertension, for diabetes, for dyslipidemia, we were able to reduce their medicine, we were able to increase their quality of life, and now we are in the phase of implementing this experience into large scale across the country.
We can sanctify, purify the air by burning different essential oils. We can use aerosols and sprays that we can make at home. Some of the oils or the ingredients that have been mentioned are camphor, mint, cinnamon, neem, holy basil or tulsi, lemongrass. These can help to purify the air and remove any kind of toxins that are in the atmosphere.
If people have access to better health care, then society will become healthy. This COVID-19 pandemic has revealed to us that, this thinking is fallacious, because we can see that it is the countries which have the most advanced healthcare systems that are reeling under, the impact of this pandemic. So even universal health care, access to health care is not the ultimate solution to create a healthy society. And this is where the teaching of Ayurveda assumes relevance and significance. Ayurveda says that it's not health for all or universal health care that should be our slogan or objective. Rather, it should be health intelligence for all. We have to awaken health intelligence because health is an individual responsibility.
So medical doctors, of course, are licensed to practice medicine. And so by working in close collaboration with an Ayurvedic provider, it is possible to provide the full scope of Ayurvedic care, and specifically as well for the treatment and prevention and management of diseases with that model. In my opinion, it is certainly possible, in my opinion, highly desirable to have these close relationships between physicians and Ayurvedic providers.
Now, when it comes to the education of Ayurveda, again, you want to do your research. We live in the day of an age of information. It is very easy to go on Google, search for anything and find anything, but you need to cross-reference your information.
What we see is wherever threat to life is immediate, people go to allopathy, and wherever threat to life is distant due to chronic disease conditions, people prefer Ayurveda. 2001 to 2020 can be said golden period for Ayurveda growth. The journey from $200 million to $6 billion is amazing. There are three dots in this healthcare ecosystem: the doctors, patients, and medicine manufacturers. The world has over 700,000 plus Ayurveda practitioners, over 200,000 individual clinics worldwide, and over 4,000 hospitals. There are over 18,000 new graduates in South Asia.
You may be surprised to know that in India we have more than 550,000 registered practitioners of Ayurveda spread across the country. We have more than 450 colleges offering degree programs of postgraduate degree and undergraduate degree in the area of Ayurveda education. Also, we have 4 universities dedicated to entirely in the area of Ayurveda education. It's very huge. In India, Ayurveda is a legal system of health and can be practiced officially. And that way, you can see practitioners of Ayurveda in the area of public health, working in the area of research, working in the industry, manufacturing, and so on.
Ayurvedic education here in the United States is growing rapidly. It's really a wonderful time to be involved in Ayurvedic education. There's such a growing interest in Ayurveda all over the country, and people are starting to look at it now more as a career and as a profession. People are interested in Ayurveda both as a preventative form of medicine and a clinical form of medicine. So we're seeing interest in our Ayurvedic Health Counselor program, which is for preventative medicine, and also in our Ayurvedic Doctor program, which is obviously for clinical medicine. We've seen the number of students here at the college growing every year. And as I look forward to the future, what I really see is more and more high quality educational programs throughout the country, so that eventually we have Ayurvedic doctors in every community. And Ayurvedic doctors should become the first line of defense against disease. It should be the first person that we go to when we're sick, because it offers us the greatest opportunity for healing with the fewest amount of side effects.
Different types of Ayurvedic educational programs are happening across the globe. From short workshops to long-term certification programs. In USA, currently, National Ayurveda Medical Association standardized the Ayurvedic education, and Ayurvedic Wellness Counselor program is 600 hours focusing on prevention and life enhancement. Ayurvedic practitioner, the primary clinicians of Ayurveda, another 1,000 hours of studies. Then goes to the Ayurvedic doctor program. It's about a 5-year study for a beginner to go through this program and to get certified as an Ayurvedic doctor.
There are lots of colleges and lots of universities are coming up in different parts of the world. The education is becoming a most important core point of the Ayurveda in present day conditions. So there are many education centers in Europe, in America, and different countries. Why the education is important? Because every country in Europe has got different geographical positions and geographical climate. To suit that countries, the people are preferring education these days than before.
Modern medicine and Ayurveda complement each other very well. Modern medicine clearly has a tremendous amount to offer, but it tends to fall short in both the prevention and the reversal of many chronic diseases. Let's take type 2 diabetes as an example. Modern medicines reduce blood glucose levels and can lower complication rates, but by and large, they do very little to reverse the physiological processes that underlie the disease. Ayurveda, on the other hand, can do just that. Ayurvedic approaches can help people with type 2 diabetes to essentially revert back to their pre-diabetic physiological state. Combining Ayurveda with modern medicine is therefore likely to improve clinical outcomes for individual people and may also decrease overall healthcare costs. Furthermore, integrating Ayurveda into modern healthcare systems may decrease the currently huge burden of disease imposed by many chronic health conditions.
On this chart, you will see there are 230 knowledge points drawn from knowledge of Ayurveda, which talks about how logically different parameters are connected to each other and how Vaidya treating you looks at the whole thing, you as a person, and then decides what will be good for you, what you should eat, what you should not eat, what kind of exercise will be good for you, what kind of yogasanas also will suit you better. So this kind of a personal advice is given by Ayurveda, and again that is based on the basic concept of Ayurvedic Prakriti type.
Many countries and many more countries, they are now recognizing that the latest one is Brazil, where the Ayurveda has been included in the national policy of the Brazil. So likewise, Ayurveda is getting more and more recognition because of its efficacy, because of its scientific aspects. At the same time, the medicines are very safe and they are very standard. And for this purpose, the government of India has been very proactive. The regulatory mechanism is very robust. I would say that probably India could be one of the topmost countries where the herbal medicines and the Ayurvedic medicines, they are well regulated, they are well standardized, and the government is very active in this condition. One thing I would like to mention that it is always said that the Ayurveda contains the heavy metals and the minerals and metals. So in this, I would like to say that the 90% of the Ayurvedic medicines, they are herbal based, At the same time, 10% of the medicines, they do contain the minerals and the metals, but the minerals and metals which are used in Ayurveda, so they are not used in the mineral form or the elemental form, but they are subjected to various processing, and after this processing, they become non-toxic, they become bioavailable, and after that, they are actually used in the medicines.
Ayurveda can help a lot, not even for prevention, but curative. It's like blood pressure, it's diabetes, it's autoimmune disease, or it's ulcerative colitis, stomach disease, liver disease.
Several innovative concepts are in Ayurveda. For example, concept of Agni, concept of dosha, concept of guna, concept of rasa, and these are all extremely powerful research ideas. If you look at the 5 Nobel Prizes gone in last 5 years, starting from 2005 UU2 for discovery of artemisinin, Ayurveda has series of different medicinal plants which can be used as discovery engines to create new drugs, like Chinese did for creating anti-malaria drug using traditional Chinese medicine. We have ashwagandha, we have guduchi, we have Tinospora cordifolia, we have turmeric, we have so many Ayurvedic medicines which can be used to create new medicines. There are other things, fasting. Ayurveda tells you when to eat, when not to eat, during what time of the year you should eat what, So this is all about the biological rhythms, seasonal cycles or daily cycles. So Ayurveda tells you which time of the day is best to do what kind of activity, or which season is good for you for doing what kind of activity. So this is very, very unique, And the Nobel Prize which has gone to biological clocks, if we would have believed in Ayurvedic concepts and started working on that, maybe some original research would have come from this. Another example is fasting, Langhana. Ayurveda believes that lot of things can be managed simply by Langhana. And this Langhana is the technique of fasting. And technique of fasting now, the Nobel Prize which has gone in autophagy, you will find that there is lot of similarity in this.
The future of Ayurveda in the United States looks really good. It's growing tremendously. I've observed it over the last 26 years. And during this time, what I've seen is a tremendous interest both in clinical services as well as in Ayurvedic education. On the clinical side, I've seen really 2 interests. I've seen one in the interest in general health and well-being. Ayurveda is really extraordinary, obviously, in helping individuals to have a healthy immune system and to fortify their bodies against disease. I've also seen a tremendous interest in clinical Ayurveda, patients that are choosing Ayurvedic medicine because they want to be helped with chronic conditions such as autoimmune disorders, cancer, digestive disease. Ayurveda has so much to offer, and the public seems to me to be gaining greater and greater interest. Now, I measure that by the busyness of our clinic, by the busyness of our graduates' clinics. We're seeing more and more patients choosing to follow an Ayurvedic path toward their own health and their own well-being. I think as we continue to go forward, we're going to see greater and greater interest in Ayurveda. In fact, we've seen a boom in Ayurveda interest due to the pandemic. Now, the pandemic has been a terrible event for our country. It's been a terrible event for the world. But what it has done is it has turned interest toward ways to be healthy. And Ayurveda is the premier system for helping individuals to be optimally healthy.
All of us look different, think different, but we still believe that one medicine will be useful for all. Now modern science also knows that this is not true. The whole new branch has emerged called pharmacogenomics. So we looked at Ayurveda from this perspective and we hypothesized that Ayurvedic concept of Prakriti has genetic connotation. And because our group was working in rheumatoid arthritis, and the rheumatoid arthritis, we know HLA-DRB1 gene plays an important role, we decided to look at this gene polymorphism. And in a blind study, we showed that Vata, Pitta, Kapha type, they have different, statistically significantly different allele distribution of this gene. Later on, we also did whole genome scanning, and we have shown that there are typical gene signatures of each Prakriti type. Pitta Prakriti may have rapid metabolizing alleles more, So this kind of a research has come out and a new science has emerged, which is now known as Ayurgenomics.
Actually, you'll be surprised. In 2009, everybody put on that mask and all. If you put on a mask and go, it is bad for you, not for the others anyway. Others, nothing happens because flu doesn't jump like that. You catch a cold, you catch a virus. It goes by this handle. Your mobile phone is the most dangerous, or bus handle, door knobs. But if you have a brass knob, it's good because the virus doesn't live long there. Brass knob kills the virus so fast. Or if you have coconut oil in your hands, the virus dies in seconds. Remember that. You don't want to catch a virus, wash your hands. Never touch your nose, your mouth, your eyes, or any part of your body where it's liable to get virus infection without washing your hands, because shaking hands is the worst thing that can happen. Ours is such a healthy system. Namaskaram. So nice. Two things happen. One, your humility shows. You bend and say namaskar. Humility is a sign of virtue and great education. Then number two, you don't touch another person's hands. The dirtiest part of the body is the hand.